Hello and welcome to Follow Everton, with lots of saxophones and drums and just this zest for life that a nil-nil should bring out of you week in week out, Chad.
It's a brand new day, Christopher. It's Boxing Day. We have a new ownership. I know this is not the first match since the new ownership, but I'm in good spirits. I'm in good spirits. Happy Boxing Day to you, Chris. Aussie
Happy
Chris.
Boxing Day. For those that don't know, Boxing Day is short in Follow Everton land for smashing the like button and subscribing. No, but I was talking to Chad about this before. I'm not really sure why it's a holiday in the UK and Australia. For those that have more of a view set on it, let me know. But it just seems sort of like hey, there's leftover stuff. Like for an American, it's like Black Friday is sort of just okay. We've got stuff we want to sell, but it makes even more sense around Christmas. You've got all this stuff going on. You don't know what people want until the last minute. Then it's just like reduced to clear because no one wants it anymore. No one, the Christmas high is over. People want to save money until like Feb or birthdays. So I
Yeah.
think it's
It,
something to do with that.
in America, this is the day where you return all the gifts that you didn't like. Hey, Merry Christmas. Look at all the warm greetings we're getting in the comments already. Merry Christmas to all of you. Thank you so much. I hope you guys all had a wonderful Christmas. It was nice for me here in the States. Chris, how was your Christmas?
It was interesting. I was out here on site. They threw a lot of money on nice food though. We had a whole bunch of seafood, brisket. So knowing that these operations have to run throughout the year at any time, we made a big effort to enjoy Christmas not on the day, but like 2 or 3 days earlier, and made a Christmas on the 22nd and had a great time there. So it's always good to see family and worked out really well for us. And I think some of the people on the channel, I'm not sure everyone who's watching live, but sometimes you have a lot of family around and sometimes you don't. And I think really keeping an eye out for your friends and family that may not have such a good setup for this time is really key too.
Yeah, very, very thoughtful. It's nice to keep in mind that there are lots of people out there that may not have the privilege that we do in sometimes, and just think of those that are a little more deserving or a little more needing of support. So, shrimps on the Barbie for Christmas. That sounds wonderful. Do you guys actually
Yeah.
say? Will you say that in Australia? Shrimps on the
No, you
Barbie.
don't say shrimp on the barbie, you say prawns on the barbie. I'm not
Pro-
sure whether.
it sounds nicer. Look at Mapsy's at. I think Mapsy's in the chat. Mapsy, jump
Yeah,
up though.
he's having a few prawns on the barbie, and it's about 8 o'clock over here. So lunchtime is 8 p.m. and it's about 8 a.m. for you, Chad, right? Something
It
like
is
that.
no. I'm before 7. I'm on East Coast time in the
Ooh,
U.S., so I am barely awake. But I'm looking forward to what should be a very interesting match today with
yep.
City. Everton do have some momentum. Where did we go? We're up. Oh, there you go. Oh, and I picked the right shirt today too. Well, now I'm
Well,
excited.
matching.
Yeah. Okay. Let's see. I knew we were going to get Seamus in the squad, so let's. This is my first time seeing this, so this should be good. I was anticipating no changes today outside of the Ashley Young shop for Ashley Young
Mhm.
swap out for Seamus, and then potentially Lindstrom for Harrison on the right, which it doesn't look like we got.
Yeah.
So the same setup as Chelsea minus Ashley Young. Seamus is in. That feels like a wash to me. That feels like we're not losing much. Seamus did look good in his limited minutes out against Chelsea. On the bench, Patterson, Keane, Beto, O'Brien, Chermiti, Broja. So we have 3 strikers sitting on the bench today. That's interesting,
Wonderful.
along with Lindstrom and Harrison Armstrong, who would be nice to see get some minutes, potentially maybe in January after Decore goes. Chris, what do you think about the squad?
I mean, uninspiring, but what I really would love to have seen actually is Beto. Sorry, not Beto. Broja in for Harrison. Harrison's been having a rough go of things, but if it's solely defend, 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 and counterattack, I get it, but we can't counterattack with this team, can we? Njai, maybe. Decore, maybe. Is that it?
No, yeah, there's no counterattack here, and I think it begins in the midfield. Mangala's been wonderful, but for all of Ghana Gay's work in the engine room and being pretty much ever present and all over the pitch, he is not a capable distributor. He is not a creative player. He is prone to mistakes on the ball. And then we all know what Decore is at this point. He's incapable of probably stringing together 3 dribbles at a time, or even finding the open pass. So no, I think we're going to have to get lucky today and nick a goal on a set piece, potentially. Otherwise, it feels like it's going to be. It feels like it's going to be what 75% City possession. We hope we
Uh-huh.
catch them on a counter strike. It feels
Counter
like
Strike. Have you been playing video
counter
games,
strike,
Chad?
a counter attack. Excuse me. Where did I get counter strike? Yeah, it just feels like it's going to have to be one of those 0-0, hope we nick a 1-0 kind of days. I don't know. Is that how you're
So
seeing it?
yes, I will say that Man City, they have a couple players back, but they are about as threadbare as you'll see them. The Moreno in goal, so they don't have Edison; he's still out. Rico Lewis at right back, Akanji and Ake in the middle. Ake being in and out of the squad. Guardiol is at left back, so he's going to be one to watch. But either Gavardio or Lewis go forward, but they can't both do it at the same time. Kovacic is not Rodri. He's had some good games, but they've shown being quite thin through the middle. They're going to have Doku quite likely out wide on the left, Savinha out wide on the right, with Bernardo Silva joining and probably be sort of helping pen in with maybe as a dual 10 from time to time, but probably sitting just ahead of Kovacic, depending on how the setup is. So you'll have probably Bernardo Silva and Foden right in front of Erling Haaland. And outside of that, they have, what is that? Ilkay Gundogan and De Bruyne on the bench. And outside of
Mhm.
that, basically no one we recognize, Chad. So
Yeah,
I think that'll be real interesting.
it's
Uh,
still a lot of talent in that squad. I know Rodri's
oh,
been
yeah, it
out.
is.
Why is De Bruyne not starting? Is there a reason that he's on limited minutes?
Um, hamstrings? I don't know.
Maybe, yeah, just general age. I don't know. It's so incredibly talented, and the rumor is that they have money to spend in January as well. So I can only imagine how they're intending on making a big splash and reinforcing that side in January. But Chris, are you seeing that you have like a real fan here, longtime
Oh,
fan of Aussie Chris? Oh wow, and you're
so
the goat. That's a very
so
nice.
I told a couple people that I work with out here about me being on the channel. So he thought he would see what we. He's a big basketball guy. I think he's a Denver Nugget fan, but wanted to see what we do here at Follow Everton. So he's jumping on to give some support for a fellow Norseman geologist. Oh, we have another number one
Oh
fan. We have
man.
Becky Hillary. She's
What is
back.
Chris is getting all the love today. Yeah, this is about. I think Follow Everton is going to be pretty far off of what you'll get from Barstool, but we do our best here. Dice out, useless cop like clown. Wow, we're already starting the dice out. Let's see how the match goes first before we say dice out.
What do we? Yeah.
So Chris, in looking at our squad today, no Harrison. We know of the issues that have been presenting itself on the right with Jack Harrison and Jesper Lindstrom not being able to find the back of the net. Do you think at some point we see, two up top? We see Broja and Dominic Calvert-Lewin, and we see Chermiti and Broja in the final closing minutes. Do you feel like there's a chance that if Dyche needs a goal, or if Dyche actually wants to push for a winner, that we get to see 2 up top?
What I actually Yeah, I don't think two up top has worked. What I think could be more interesting is you actually have two inside forwards, and Jai is the left inside forward, and Broja takes on Harrison. It takes on Harrison's spot. So if we have to defend, they will drop back as a defensive five. But if we are let's say it was in possession, you could see them as a flat three. But what I would imagine is going to happen is it'll look like that ugly Christmas tree formation of like the 4-3-2-1 or something to that effect, where you would have them tucked in. The thing is, if you're pressing late to try and get it resolved, you can't just have too many men behind the ball. You need to have people on there, I'm trying to think the right word now. Defensive line, basically, right on the line where the offside is. So in that case, what you would probably want is Harrison and Njai, or Beto and Njai out wide, and then you'd probably push Decore up, sitting right behind Calvert Lewin, and then maybe sub off Gay, but we don't have enough midfield options right now. I would bring in Garner in that case, and just have Mangala sitting back and doing distribution. Because to me, the best chance of us doing any having an impact is if Oro Mangala did what Yori Tielemans did against them a couple of weeks ago, where he basically beat the first man press and then was doing direct balls through the channel, and they scored off that, and they looked quite weak in the middle. So if we can do something remotely like what Aston Villa did to City, that's one way to score, even if we're quite likely not going to have other routes to goal other than maybe set pieces, because we don't have McNeil either, do we?
Yeah, no, we don't. Do you really think we're capable of beating a press? I haven't seen it much. I mean, it seems like the only time we do have some success in beating pressure is when the ball finds itself to Ilman Ndiaye and he's able to somehow, squeeze between two defenders and run up the field while not falling down. I'm not seeing us string together multiple passes. I see us play it around the back and then eventually play it back to Jordan Pickford, who then moves it long, and then we're packing it in.
Yes. I certainly don't see that being the Dyche tactic to take a risk. But in the Tielemans example, it wasn't as if it was like 4 consecutive passes, if I remember correctly. Chat, correct me if I'm wrong. It was more received, turned on a dime, beat one player in the middle, and just first time ball. And they don't seem to have that physicality and ability to intercept as well. I love Bernardo Silva, but he's not really the star of any position, but will he be able to shut down the passing lanes compared to what a Rodri would do in that spot? I don't think so. So then, and maybe Rico Lewis plays in a more advanced role with Kovacic, and Silva's up more in a bit further up the pitch, maybe. But they're giving away some sloppy goals. Maybe all we need to do is wait. That Nunez isn't even playing today. I was going to say wait for Nunez to do a terrible back pass and give us a penalty, but maybe not.
Yeah, this is a side that looks intent on getting a result today. I don't see, Jack Grealish is not here in the side today for them. This seems like a team that's trying to find form. Erling Haaland is still one of the most dangerous players in the world, and he's going to find his form. Phil Foden is going to find his form. I thought Foden was excellent last year, not having the same year this year as last year, but still a completely wonderful player. And Doku hasn't been the player for them that I think he was intended to be, but is so dangerous. And the idea of Doku with all that pace, matched up one-on-one with Seamus, who, is only moments away from popping his hamstring yet again. It's just this seems like a scary proposition. So I'm really hoping that Jared Branthwaite and James Tarkowski play exceptionally well today. I hope Jordan Pickford is, spinning on his head. It seems like that might be the only way that we're going to be able to find any points today at all, is if we completely just pack it in, 11 men behind the ball, and hope for the best.
Yeah, because we know Coleman can actually handle the one-on-ones, and he has done for years. He took on, who was the Palace player that he always had his number on, that would play on the left side? He moved on like a year ago. I'm forgetting his name.
They rhymed. Olise.
No, not Olise. It was the guy before him who was their striker for years and did penalties and everything. Zaha, thank you, Wilfred Zaha. Zaha. He handled the likes of Zaha like no one's business. And Coleman can still handle one-on-ones and win tackles. At least last year, I haven't seen him enough this year. But what happens is if there's a long diagonal over the top, Doku's winning in on goal. There's no doubt about it. Even as Coleman knows how to track back, you'll have some clever through balls from Silva or Rico Lewis doing a crossfield ball if Everton play too high a line and expose Coleman. I can't see that not happening.
Yeah, I'm just a little concerned. What happens when Seamus is going down at the 30th minute, just from tweaking something. Who's going to come in? Is it Patterson at that point? Is he back on the bench? Can you remind me?
Yeah, so let me pull this back up. I believe he is. What we don't have is a Roman Dixon. So you'd have to you'd have a pretty cockeyed setup if you didn't put in Patterson. I suppose I've seen weirder things. Michael Keane has played right back for Everton before. I think it was against Wolves like a season and a half ago. It was a horrible decision and we let out goals. So
Yeah.
I would say Daesh is pace averse. So maybe if we need to protect the legs of a pacey Patterson, maybe we do bring Michael Keane to right back. I don't see it. I'm just trying to pull the
No,
leg here.
I
I feel
think
like
you're onto
that would be
something
the
though.
scenario.
I think if Sean Dyche had to take Nathan Patterson or Michael Keane in a back three or back five with
Mm-hmm.
Branthwaite and Tarkovsky, he's gonna take that. He's gonna take Keane every day. He'll have Branthwaite on the left, Keane on the right, anchored by Tarkovsky in the middle, and then he'll flank those with your wide players. So I can't imagine a situation where we even see Nathan Patterson today or for the rest of the season. But you had that comment up. Dyche is pace averse. I think he's like pace intolerant or pace. He's like just
Ooh.
I don't know. Just incapable of putting it out on the field. Capable of finding it in the transfer market. So he's allergic to pace apparently. But yeah, that's kind of what we're looking at.
Yeah, he will be one of the lowest yield bond of all time. You'll have a 1% growth. There's no risk, but you'll definitely retire with more money than you put in. But not by much more. It'll hardly beat interest, but you're safe.
Oh, that's funny. Peter, as much as I'm anti Ashley Young playing on the right, at least Young can cross the ball. Coleman has never put a decent cross into the box in his whole career. I don't know if
How can
that's
this be
fair.
right?
I don't think that's very fair.
He's really
Um,
okay. At minimum, he has excellent ability to do cutbacks, but I feel like he must. I know that I get the feeling that you say maybe he can't cross, but there's no way that he's never crossed a decent right. Peter, good guy, knowledgeable, and I just can't take that one fully. I get the point that Ashley Young is a better distributor of the ball. Coleman is a lot more taking players on, exposing people at the back there. And do we have? No, maybe we don't. We may
you
have
think
someone come on in the background there, but we'll see if Ryan's still getting set up before. Oh,
he's
there he
thinking
is.
about it? There he is.
Merry
We have
Christmas,
Ryan.
Happy Hanukkah. I hope everyone's having a wonderful festive season. And I'm just here to invade your stream. I'm not well enough to go on the camera. I'm still in bed. I'm feeling a bit rough, guys. I've had a temperature shivering like a Frosty the Snowman, despite having the heating on 30 degrees last night. So I'm just here to give a few thoughts when prompted.
Oh, well, Merry Christmas. Happy Hanukkah. Hope you had a wonderful day yesterday and I hope you have a great Boxing Day today, even though you're under the weather. Ryan, how are you feeling today, aside from, how you're physically feeling? How are you feeling about this matchup today with City?
Just a couple of thoughts on that, Chad. First of all, nice to see you and thanks for doing the stream. I wonder whether today was a bit of a missed opportunity to go against the status quo and try something different. One of the ideas I come up with was a 4-4-2. Am I echoing back at myself? Is that me or?
Yeah, I think it might be.
You got multiple cameras on, Chris?
I have some screenshots in the background that I'm showing.
Are there multiple?
Yes, there are multiple.
You're not on multiple devices.
Tables. You've got lineups and.
No, I think he's hearing there's some audio interference.
Oh,
I think he was
okay.
wondering if it was something on your end.
Okay, I think it's all right now. Yeah, what I was saying was, could we have gone 4-4-2 and said, right, we're going to have 2 banks of 4. We're still going to do that 4-4-2, 2 banks of 4. But can we play perhaps better when Brozier up front? And basically what we do is we 4-4-2, we draw you in, and then we've got these 2 monsters up front with pace, with strength, who can carry the ball and bully Ake and Akanji. I think we could absolutely have done that. But he's decided to stick with the status quo, this 4-3-3. Now, for me, this doesn't work, guys, because Harrison left-footed, always dribbling into traffic. It's same on the other side with Ndai, always dribbling into traffic because they want to come inside. And normally you saw it in the last match, opposition teams know that and they just kind of block you off. So Ndai, although he looks really good to the eye, he doesn't do anything with it because the ball's always he's just kind of having to beat 2-3 players just to retain possession and give it to someone and kind of not really go anywhere with it. And that's so unfortunate. So I would have liked to have seen, and long term, if you're playing inverted wingers, your fullbacks have got to get forward to get the crosses in. But we know Mikalenko can't deliver the end product, so that's a lost cause. I can see why he wouldn't ask him to do that. But even just a decoy run to make space for Ndai, because today I think Rico Lewis is going to be vulnerable. Bernardo Silva on that right-hand side of central midfield, he's not a natural defender, although his work rate is there. I think Ndai cutting in today, it might be the first time where he's not swarmed by about 3 or 4 players trying to rob the ball back off him.
Right.
So I would have liked to see Mikalenko get forward and Ndai cut inside in that pocket of space between Rico Lewis and Akanji. And just look at it and think there's not a lot of support though, is there? Because you've got 3 sort of defenders, 4 flat defenders. So my thoughts were, apart from could we have gone 4-4-2, apart from can we get the fullbacks forward and try and provide that width, because I think the 2 players are going to potentially run into traffic. There's a lot of interference today, isn't there?
Yep.
Yeah, that
Blocking all these
sure where that
follow
came
me on
from.
webcam kind of stuff, huh?
What is this? The final thought I was just going to say on that, to answer the question in a very long way, is Man City overcommitting a lot of players forward. Can we frustrate them? It's a 12:30 kickoff. The crowd is not going to be up for it, let's be honest. A bit flat, 12:30. Can we bring City on, suffocate them, get nasty, get aggressive? And what I would have had was Lindstrom on the right, although he doesn't score assists, he shows work rate and pace, and Brozier up front, because I think we would have had the pace on the counter attack. The problem I've got here is maybe we can keep a clean sheet, but I just don't see how we score a goal with Calvert-Lewin and Harrison as your main of 2 of your main 3 attacking players. It's just pointless. It's just more of the same. So I'd have gone Brozier and I would have gone Lindstrom.
Yeah, Ryan, I think this is just Sean Dyche's natural pessimism of wanting to keep 10 behind the ball, give Calvert-Lewin the task of keeping their center halves busy and somehow try to find a way to nick that 1-0. I don't know if Sean Dyche has the moxie to even try to put Brozier up top with Dominic Calvert-Lewin and turn them over and turn it into something. Do you feel like this is maybe where we're missing James Garner? James Garner had the ability to break up a play, turn them over, and potentially find opportunities on the counterattack. It doesn't seem like we have that with Abdoulaye Doucouré and Idrissa Gana Gueye in the middle. Are we missing James Garner?
Or Eric Boonham as well.
Well, Irabunum, I think, certainly it shows some intent, some attacking intent, but seems to leave awful lot of holes defensively. I think there's no way Sean Dyche would play him moving forward if he was even healthy.
Yeah,
but yeah, I guess the question,
don't we?
So I think I'm going to use Mark Foster's comment from earlier to answer the question of Dyche's tactics today. So you read, Foden bound to find his form today. Can't let Haaland bully. So if we have a early match, home team that is desperate for a win, are going to get slightly restless, like knowing that Everton's going to play a low block and invest a lot of players forward, and they're prone in the best of times to giving the ball away with a really advanced squad and having to rely on 2 or 3 defenders to be on top form, to do an emergency tackle, Akanji, Ake, or Ruben Diaz, who's out. So then what you're really hoping on a day like today is Abdoulaye Doucouré has his jets on, that he hasn't really shown this year, but he has done in the past, and just goes hell for leather on these counterattacks, and you invest a lot of players on these rare moments and just flood the box with like 4 players. That is probably the only way I see a result, because we're not even going to have a set plays anymore without McNeil, are we?
No. Just looking more at the team on the back of what you said, Guardiola at left back, he's not really a natural defender. He's just going to bomb forward. And I think Doku are going to tag team Coleman and basically rip him to shreds. I don't think Coleman is I'm not trying to be mean, but I don't think he's the player he was. He's not. I mean, in the first few games of the season when he started, he was getting ripped to shreds, and he just looks like he hasn't got that level in him anymore. I almost would say to Shea, you're going to attack because I think he's still got the intelligence in the final third, but I don't know whether he's got the legs to cope with someone like Doku. If we are playing with that three in midfield, then Mangala's basically going to play over on that right-hand side the whole game to try and stop those little triangles between Doku, Guardiola and Kovacic. Guardiola's going to go forward. Doku's going to try and cut inside. The only thing that's a saving grace is what Doku's going to do every time. He's always going to cut inside. So can we be aware of that? Can Mangala kind of suffocate that space? Can Tarkovsky step up into that little area where he's going to try and cut inside and shoot? But there's a couple of thoughts there. Again, Kovacic is going to sit in that midfield, but I don't think he's the quickest. Can we run at him? Unfortunately, on the other side of the pitch to where the one player with a bit of speed is Ndai, and he's not even that fast. I don't think Ake is that good of a defender. I'm going to be honest. I don't think he is. I don't think Guardiola can defend either, and I don't think Lewis has anything to write home about. I've never seen that Savinho play. No doubt
he's been quite good this season, actually. Sort of a high energy right midfielder.
The thing is, Phil Foden and Cole Palmer are quite similar. And we dealt with Palmer quite well because what we did was we suffocated the midfield. We stopped that space. And, Haaland and Foden, that's the two. You stop them two, you will stop Man City, I think. But, that partnership, I think it helps us that it's in the middle of the pitch because I think we've got so many bodies in the centre. We can kind of just suffocate them. And all I want to see from Everton today is I really hope we're nasty. I hope we're horrible. I hope we don't let them get momentum. I hope we are willing to foul them. I hope we're willing to just do the dirty work. Why do we need to look at that table? It's disgusting.
All right. I was just showing that City are not in good spirits, and they desperately want to get themselves up the table. And now I will remove it after Ryan's recommendation. We'll go back to lineup. How about that?
It's just because Liverpool are top of the league. It's making me feel a bit sick. And I already...
You meant to mute before you get sick, Ryan. So we've got 8 minutes to kick off, maybe a little less, maybe a little more. I will quickly add the referees down the bottom of the ticker here. So Simon Hooper, the arch nemesis of Erling Haaland, is the referee today.
That's absolutely class that you've done that.
Yeah. So I've got that just sneaks down the bottom there. So if anyone wants to browse, but that's the main one that sticks out. And yeah, like whatever. So let's talk more broadly. Who do you? And this is the time to start doing predictions, otherwise we won't get it done before we have to sign off. So I think it'll be probably a 1-1. It could be 0-0, but I can't see a whole lot of goals happening unless Man City finally just break the duck off their back. But they just don't seem like they're going to turn this over. And on the flip side, the only way I see Everton like giving up 2 or 3 is if they truly try and chase this game, which they haven't seemed to do almost ever. So I think it's somewhere between like a 1-0 City win to a 1-1 draw. Could be 0-0, but I feel like there'll be at least 1 goal in it.
Mm-hmm. Chris, either you're freezing a little bit or I'm freezing on my end. So if I cut out here, I apologize. I feel like we're going to... This feels like when you go to the casino and you play roulette and you just like red every single time because like eventually something is going to change. This feels like Manchester City just ripping us to shreds, and 3-0 is a kind result because it was just bound to happen. So I hope that's not the case, but it feels like we're due. Much in the way my casino blackjack, my casino roulette reference was just in the way like it's kind of bound to happen at some point. I feel like today might be our unlucky day, and it happens to us.
City haven't lost to terrible teams, have they? In this run for them, they haven't like lost to an Ipswich, for example. They've just lost to medium to upper table sides that they wouldn't usually lose to.
Yeah, well, there's teams now that like Bournemouth and Nottingham Forest are in the top 5 of the table.
Right.
So
That's
there's
why I'm
teams that we
saying
wouldn't think are quality, would be in that position, but they are this year. Like Brighton, Tottenham, those are mid-table sides this season, surprisingly.
Well, I'll just touch base. Spurs the other day against Liverpool. I just think they've got to sack their manager because he looked so out of his depth that he was playing into Liverpool's hands. Oh, Liverpool are really good at robbing the ball off you when you give it away and running up the pitch and passing it around you. Let's play into their hands. I didn't rate that from Spurs. But at the same time, someone like Bournemouth, and particularly Nottingham Forest, the reason they're doing well, they've got a clear way of playing. The wingers on the counter attack with the pace, and the number 9 who finishes. I think the difference in Everton and those teams possibly isn't an awful lot. It's just you haven't got a number 9 who'll stick it in the net. And I wouldn't persist with Calvert-Lewin. I think it is utter pointless. Why would you play a player? He has scored. I read a statistic the other day. I think he's had 9 seasons, and only 2 of them he scored more than 7 goals. So in 7 of his 9 seasons, he hasn't hit more than 7 goals, not even double figures, not even anything, and he's leaving in January. We're going to sell the guy, and Dyche is still calling him his main striker. I'm sorry, mate. I don't get it. I think Brozier would be the one. In a game like this, anyway, where you're playing without the ball, and all we're going to see today is Everton do that stupid thing we do, where we play really nice triangles to try and retain the ball, to stop City getting it in a corner. Oh, we'll do really well. Then we'll pass it back to Pickford to launch it straight to Calvert-Lewin, who's got no one within 20 yards. But look at the goal Liverpool. I hate to harp on about them, but look at the goal Liverpool scored against Spurs, where it was a long ball. He flicked it on, but he had a runner running in behind. What's the point of Calvert-Lewin? He's being used as some sort of statue on Otterspool Beach. I think it's Formby Beach, but it doesn't make any sense to me.
Yeah, but Ryan, I
you
think
need to score to be run up high.
The Chelsea match was very like a tale of two different halves, and I thought Chelsea were much better than us in the first half last time out. But in the second half, possession was more equalized. I thought we created the better chances. I thought we were giving someone to win that second ball in Calvert-Lewin's area. So there's something that happened last time out that made me a little hopeful that DCL wasn't going to just be a waste of space that we've seen from him. That has to change. Although I did like the substitute of bringing Beto on against Chelsea. I felt like the game really needed the chaotic element that he provides. And I think we might be able to use that today as well. There's something about throwing Beto in a mix that just kind of wreaks havoc on the current kind of pace of the match. So maybe Sean Dyche will do something like that as well today if we're just not getting any production out of DCL.
Chris asked a minute ago about set pieces, and he asked who would take the set pieces. And I look at that team, and I just don't have a clue. And if you're talking about that's your main route to scoring a goal, what I've been disappointed with in the Chelsea and Arsenal game in that element was in matches like where we're defending and we're playing for set pieces and stuff to score, we haven't been scoring set pieces. I know we got 4 against Wolves, but generally I'm not seeing it. The Arsenal and Chelsea games, we should have used set pieces, but we didn't win any. Mm-hmm. And then when we got them, we didn't put good balls into the box. That against Chelsea at home, I think we only won about 2 or 3 corners. And I remember distinctly an early set piece where we played it short to Garner just to launch it like a long ball, lofted pass. So I don't know who's going to take it. Could Jack Harrison take the set pieces?
Maybe.
I would think
maybe
so.
Mangala would have to do it because usually it's Ashley Young as a backup or Jesper Lindstrom. Both of them are on the bench. So the first 3 set piece players are not on the field.
Yeah, unless
James Garner
awful.
But he's been taking some as well.
Are you two morphing this into a watch along?
No.
Oh, okay. Well, you best get then.
So I predict a 1-0 City win. You think we're going to get flogged 3-0, Chad? Was that it?
I hate to say it, but yeah, that's if I was going to put money on it, then yeah.
And Ryan's up for a sickly 0-0.
Yes. How did you know? I was going to say 0-0. This is such a difficult game because City could turn us over on their day. They've got the individual quality, Holland and Foden. I think the way we're going to set up stinks of a 0-0. I wonder whether we can rob something. I'd love us to rob something. But it may be also, I could also see this game being one of those Everton hold on for 78, 79 minutes, City get a fluky pen, and then that's that. And everyone's just like, meh. You know, one of those sort of,
That's
we
my
gave you the
feeling, one of
win,
them.
but you didn't have to do anything for it. We self-destructed. We tripped you up in the box because we're a stupid
We
idiot.
helped City get their momentum back. We helped propel Bournemouth into success this year.
They're not
We helped
title
Villa get on their
challengers.
feet.
Yeah, we've some stinky results, but I think the game's starting now. But yeah, I could see us tripping Foden up. I could see Mikalenko doing a special, thinking about his unborn baby and tripping Foden up, and Haaland slots it and pulls his top off, saying, "Why always me?" or something like that.
Oh no, stay humble. Stay humble.
Be humble, yeah.
All right. Well, thank you for everyone listening. That was a really good following here, and we'll join for post match. Up the Toffees.
Little toughies.
Up the Toffees.